Here's what's happening as a result
Right.
of
Right.
those experiences.
Yeah.
That's where we are focused 99.9% of the time.
When you go back and remember those experiences, it's like, no, each one of those experiences was trying to tell me something about
Yes,
myself.
right.
And what was it that it was trying to tell me?
Without it sounding trite, because we've used these phrases before, like, okay, we're in it, we're in it, we're in it, this is the split. And so in that article and videos that I posted, I was kind of alluding to that, like, this is getting even more and more clear that we're in a different context.
Yeah.
And still able to interact and see, and not so much build and co-create. Those things aren't going so well. Others that I'm observing too, it's like, let's do this, okay, let's organize, and it just completely falls into nothing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's part of the process of wait, which world are you in?
I can mirror pretty much all of that that I'm observing and witnessing too. And beginning with this whole being in this totally seemingly different world to everybody else. And what I'm really noticing right now is I think we've obviously been aware of these two different worlds for quite some time.
Very much so, yeah.
But I really feel now it's becoming more and more clear within its nuanced of the feeling of what it's like to be in one world or the other. And observing it now from our world, I was out on a walk earlier today thinking this exact same thing. It's like the way that I'm experiencing it right now is our world is very much in this kind of column, vertical column, which then for me kind of spreads out into the ground and then kind of moves and morphs outwards. And that's the world I feel that we're occupying right now. Because then when I observe and then sometimes flip into the other world, but actually now it is literally only momentarily, almost just to kind of keep going, oh yeah, that's what it feels like, and then come back again, and then go up, oh yeah, that's what it feels like, oh yeah, and then come back again. So it's that really, I'm really finding, I'm enjoying now actually kind of flipping between the two because I'm interested in what that difference feels like.
Me too.
And so I feel like our world is kind of this column which comes out downwards and spreads out and then up and into wherever it's going to. Meanwhile, the other world is very much literally, it feels like overlaid over the top. And there is this distinct moment where there is that difference, where the two edges of those two worlds meet. And I find myself going up into this other world, and I can feel it when I'm, and like I said, I keep flipping between the two to feel the difference. And when I'm there, I'm really feeling it up here, and everything almost comes out from here and comes out that way. So it's kind of up there. So it does feel like it's overlaid on the top of this more grounded experience, which is our world, which feels very much this column and then goes out. So that's the way I'm experientially feeling it.
Yeah.
in my days now, which is
Mm-hmm.
a really interesting observation. And then what I'm also finding is it is kind of easier for me to interact with the other world now. Again, I'm talking very nuanced here, but it's easier for me to interact with the other world now without getting caught up in the weight that this other world holds, which is
Yes.
the density of all the emotions and the chaos and the confusion and the feeling of being lost and not knowing where to turn or not knowing what to do. That has, for me, physical weight, denseness that I can feel. So that's kind of what I feel in that. Well, I used to feel that in that world,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm noticing when I kind of pop into that world, for me now, there is no weight behind it. I'm literally, because I'm now so grounded in this other world, in our world, when I now pop up into the other world, I can interact with it without becoming emotionally involved, without it becoming this weighty thing that I'm either taking on for myself or it's being passed to me in interactions with other people. So,
Mm-hmm.
interactions that I do have with other people now, for me, it's like I can very much now remain in my grounded light state,
Yes.
but also kind of interact without being pulled into that now. So I'm finding I can very easily maneuver myself around this other world now
Mm-hmm.
without being attached to anything, without being gripped by anything, and without any fear or anxiety or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the other interesting thing, again, going into the nuances, that sometimes I have felt a little bit of anxiety coming and a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of fear coming in. But again, the difference for me is that lack of weightiness that goes with those emotions.
Right.
So I feel like I'm more of an observer
Mm-hmm.
in that other world now when I pop into it. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm in it, but not of it. So I'm in it,
Correct.
perhaps experiencing these things, but not as a full on, this is only my ever experience.
Yeah.
So
No,
those are the really interesting nuance things I'm feeling, definitely.
it's really well explained, and I was right there with you. As usual, when we're both kind of we're reaching for the words and the imagery, and um, trying to paint the nuance, which is we both know how challenging that's been to communicate these things to those around us who are still very much entrenched in that old reality, or the false grid, or however we want to name it. that is the Sorry, that was my phone. Hold on. And so when you were talking, I was getting more clarity on how how I see it, and oh, how I wish I could paint or draw like our
Yeah,
friend Zuzana, because it's all imagery based,
yeah, yeah.
feelings, and also imagery, where you just see it all, and it's like, oh, geez, that's such a clever little picture. I wish I could draw
Yeah,
that,
me too, me too.
and sadly I've tried, but it just never comes out right.
No, no.
No. But the way that I experience it, and very much it came as an inspiration, the vision of, as you were talking, is the difference now, or the nuance, where I can remember times before that I was still very much invested in arguing with the false grid and everyone
Yes,
in it,
yes,
right?
yes.
So what I feel is the shift and the change now is that we've opened into the larger context,
Mhm.
and we're able to hold that space with the previous context in it, inside it.
Yes,
So we're holding all of it,
yes,
and sometimes it's still possible to, and I love this word because it so matches the feeling. it's still possible to forget momentarily or get anxious or have fear or whatever and collapse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the larger context just poof comes back
Yeah.
down.
Mm-hmm.
And now we think this is who we are. We think this is reality again. But wait, it's not. I know it's not, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we can keep this awareness going. And if we can't, then we have the tools to quickly shift and
Right.
go, whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't live there.
Yeah.
um, so I'm going to, with the dialogue tool, I taught, they say you talk yourself out of it, you can talk yourself back into it, the larger space, the
Mm-hmm.
larger context. And so that shifts and I'm back
Yeah.
and I'm forward
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Um, and, or if you feel like you suddenly have to defend again,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like that's not true. And so you find yourself inside the smaller bubble arguing. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
meant by the argument. It's like,
Yeah.
don't argue.
Yeah.
Don't,
Yeah.
why are you arguing? And when I say argue, I'm not really arguing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a, it sounds like I'm, it's not that everything is so nuanced, as you say, that you can just feel yourself back in that childhood or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that previous wounding, where it's like, I've always had to try to explain
Mm-hmm.
who I am and what I see, and I'm so different, and the pain of being different, and all that stuff can come back in the collapse.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really feel that what I was saying in the recent article on Substack this morning's is this is a beautiful thing when we're in this larger space and we share it with each other. And then we don't have to argue
Mm-hmm.
in the old context anymore. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to defend who we are, explain, uh, find the physics for it and say, see, really, it's like you're writing a term paper, right? And it's like, and here's all the evidence, and here's where my logical argument goes that this is real. No,
Yeah.
I don't frickin' care anymore whether anyone thinks this is real or not. I'm going with this literal flow of wow, like wonder, like you're a child in Disneyland, is the way it.
Yeah, and this is interesting with the whole family familial dynamics because I have exactly the same. It's like most of the other stuff now, I'd say probably okay, let's go for it. I'd say probably all of the other stuff now, if I'm in kind of a triggering situation, it doesn't trigger me as much. I
Yeah.
may momentarily get switched into
Yes.
something, but very quickly come back. The most difficult situations are these familial situations where you have the family members where they can trigger you so quickly and so deeply. And before you know it, you can be, like you say, completely contracted in, completely back in that old patterning of when you were a child and all these other woundings coming up. And that is what makes those kind of situations quite very uncomfortable. I was going to say quite uncomfortable, but very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but for me, again, it's bringing in these tools. So even now, I'm still going through a process with my members of my family that
Mm-hmm.
trigger me off, that every time I go and visit them, I actually practice this. I have a somatic technique that I practice. So again, it's exactly what we're saying. And what I do is like I go in the day with, right, okay, I'm feeling this column and this kind of coming out. What that allows me to do also is it gives me, as you were saying, it's putting the more condensed world, the contracted world within, it sits within this other expanded
Mm-hmm.
space that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm noticing from that also is that that allows me then to kind of observe the world out there from different perspectives, from different angles of
Yes.
viewing. So you're kind
Hmm.
of, one day you might be over here, but one day you might be over there or over there. And so that allows you to keep an eye on
Yeah.
what's going on in that other world. So you're not
Hmm.
completely disconnecting yourself and walking away from it. You're still
Hmm.
keeping an eye on what's going on. You're still kind of
Absolutely. Hmm.
observing everything that's
Yep.
going on.
Yep.
And so this is really the technique then I use when I go into family members, which I'm still learning through this process with the family members myself. So,
Yeah.
and this is what we're saying, it never stops, this learning process.
Yeah.
And so I go in with this more, okay, I'm going to go into the day feeling and knowing that this is who I am now. This is my truth. And again, it's not a thinking thing, it's a feeling, full body experience, and a knowing that this is who you are. If
Hmm.
I go in with that feeling, then it starts everything off in a much better place to begin with.
Yeah.
And it also allows you, because you're then in that space, you can immediately go into that situation with the same ability to look at everything from different angles. So rather than you getting caught up in the web of the conditioning and the programming, if you go in immediately with, I can observe that through the feeling because I can see it and feel it in front of me, literally like a web of all of these lines of conditioning and programming, and you interact from it from the observer's point of view, then bit by bit, slowly by slowly, you can then begin to train and reorient your own body to how to deal with these more triggering situations. And it's, even for me, it's a bit of a slow process because some of these family members are very triggering, but
I
but
wouldn't
but
know
this
anything about that.
this is how we learn. This is how we grow and embody even more of ourselves
Hmm.
so that we can keep on functioning in the world. And it doesn't matter then, ultimately, what is happening out there in the world. We're going to remain in our own consciousness, our own reality, our own
Hmm.
embodiment, knowing our own truth and who we are. And therefore, that allows you to move through everything in a far more easy way, graceful way, effortless way that doesn't carry the weight of the old world. And it allows, it frees you up now to actually be and function who you are, which if we keep on doing this practice, then we all become the moment of the thriving, which is when we begin to connect with others like ourselves and other people like us, and then we can start to kind of build things and co-create things together. But
Yeah.
this is it. The moment you kind of go into that more condensed, weighty world, then it's incredibly difficult to do any creating, let alone any
Yeah.
co-creating.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just this continual embodied approach to how you are in the world every single day and every single moment. And I know that I'm an observer pretty much all of the time I'm moving around and every time I'm interacting, because it's not like I'm on hypervigilance state and just kind of looking out for things. No, it's completely the opposite to that.
Yeah.
It's a completely relaxed state of being and knowing and
Right.
unattached to anything else, so that you can move through it more freely, more fluidly, and literally, like you say, in the flow of things.
Well, that's like the perspective of the oversoul.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and that maybe we're embodying when we talk about consistently embodying more and more and more and more. This is when oh, we're back to our natural
Mm.
state again, where the
Yes, yes.
oversoul isn't separate, where
Yeah,
nothing is separate anymore. Boom, we're back. We don't
yeah,
have to talk about how it works anymore. We're back in our body. We're back in our, we're working in sync with our instrument. And as the messages have said before, it's like then you can choose what you're doing next.
mm,
Once this um, synergy occurs again, once this blend harmonic blend happens again, that is our natural state,
Mm, mm,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
wow.
this just touches on such a big area of what this space is actually about. And it's exactly how this conversation has gone, which is it's okay, you experience both unity and individuality both at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, if you're in that space because you're in embodying this wider space, which is holding the more dense world, so it's not separate from the dense world. The dense world is part of and is this other bigger, wider space too. However, if you're fully embodying and fully breathing out and exhaling into all of that space, then you also can see that that other world isn't separate to you,
Right.
because you're not a person. Actually, we're not a human being and a human being. We're in a human body having a human
Mm-hmm.
experience,
Mm-hmm.
but the wider experience of that is this oversoul, this wider experience. So you do that, you can, if you're in that place, you can feel this unity, which is you, me, everybody here on this planet, everything in the cosmos is unity. So everything is us, but at
Yeah.
the same time, you're also recognizing the individuality in everything. So you are an individual human being. I am an individual human being, but we come from and we are the same thing. It's just two different expressions of the same thing. And I
Right.
think this is kind of what we're touching on. It's like, in order for humanity at large to move out of this dense world, then this is the shift, the move, the change, the expansion, the embodiment that we need to be doing individually,
Yeah.
so that we can each one of us come into this knowing space that we are all the same thing and just individual expressions of those same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that feeling and that knowing is what allows you then to not get caught up in the emotions or the arguments or the web of conditioning that you've had from your younger years. That can only really happen if it's a feeling, knowing, embodiment of that thing.
Right.
If this concept stays in the head, and only in the head and the cognitive space, and you only understand it from that perspective, you're still living in that separated world between the
That
dense world.
externalized, yeah, that
Exactly,
externalized reality. Yeah.
exactly. Well, I am going to say, I feel like the almost the point of us having all of our experiences
Uh-huh.
was to introduce us to this concept from the feeling perspective, from the embodied
Absolutely.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, we're both smiling and laughing, and maybe that looks weird to people, but it's when you go for long periods of time of like, like
Mm,
doubting everything about who you are and what you
mm,
perceive, and then you finally feel it click and you understand why we had these experiences. So
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, yeah.
Um, because so long I've said it was such a curse, and then it shifted
Mhm.
to, whoa, this is the greatest blessing I can ever even imagine,
Yeah,
to be given this kind of a gift, of the view, even though it wipes out all ego identity
mhm,
and um, related resources and relationships and everything that goes with that smaller context world. It's like, this is, there's a lot of Bible verses and Jesus talking a lot about this stuff, where you let go of the world and you rely on the sustenance of the universe, to feed you and nurture you and guide you. And that's a very real thing. I really want to talk about suicidal ideation, about people who reach those levels, and I'm one of them.
And I am too.
You're inside the smaller context. Somehow you know you were still born with the awareness of the bigger, or you've had the transformational experiences that popped you out of the small context into the bigger, and you went, oh my God, what is happening? And you collapse back down, and now you want to try and find community inside this small circle, like, hey, you guys ever have this experience? No? Okay, yeah, me neither. And so you deny this,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the whole agreement in this
Yeah.
reality, is to deny this
Yeah.
and to agree to be inside of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can honestly say that when I came very close to ending my life, I was very much, this is all I was in. And I was saying, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somehow, there's something in me that is either a vague memory from the past. In my case, it was constant. It was happening all the time, these experiences. And it was calling me to rediscover this more of us and ultimately integrate it, right? we
Yeah.
didn't we couldn't articulate that at the time, but
No.
but in hindsight we can say, oh, I see, I have an experience, I integrate, now at this point I have an experience, a bigger one, and then I slowly integrate.
Mm.
Now we're in a space where we're back to what we were describing at the top of our conversation. We're simply maintaining this, holding this, and being aware of this at the same time, and even interacting with people here. But if this is all you have, and you don't have things like these amazing conversations we have and then we get to have
Mm-hmm.
with each other, if we don't have mirrors, we're going to want to end our life, right? We're going to want to
Yeah.
end this
Mm-hmm.
because it's too painful.
Yeah.
This is where addiction comes in. This is
Yeah.
where, whether it's a crime or addiction or whatever these uh, forces are, that we just accept this is the only way to survive here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
not true.
Yeah.
And this is why I got involved in the addiction recovery field, because somehow I wanted to convey that to people, that, hey, it's actually a good thing that you realize you can't live here,
Mm-hmm.
but don't just keep circling inside of this. Be bold enough to expand out of that and remember more of who you are and why you're here. Otherwise, you are going to kill yourself, either slowly or you're going to consciously do it. I mean, let's be frank about that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you cannot, especially now, you
Yeah.
cannot, if you have too much awareness, you can't live here,
Mm-hmm.
and you will be challenged.
Yeah.
You will be pushed to the point where, if you're not remembering this connection, you're going to think this is all there is.
Yeah.
And I believe people like you and I are here, and so many others that we want to start talking with, too. I believe we're here to reveal this, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a myriad of ways, because there's a myriad of us and expressions of us that we can remind people and inform them that you are not it was never intended that you squeeze in and fit in here. And you don't need coping mechanisms because you're way bigger. Coping mechanisms live here.
Yeah, you see,
Becoming so
speaking from
clear.
absolutely, speaking from my own experience of addiction, I was addicted to alcohol,
Mhm.
and I had a number of years where this was a growing addiction to the point it did take over me. And I had exactly the experience you've been talking about. So there was a lot of pressure on me in those moments to be a certain thing. And
Yes.
the way I coped with it was to turn to alcohol because I literally, because I felt so much, as you're saying, I
Yeah.
literally couldn't cope with the onslaught of what that other world was demanding of me every
Right.
single day, every single
Right.
moment of that
Oh
day.
God, yes. Ah.
And I just could not cope with it. So I turned to alcohol and eventually
Mhm.
became addicted to it.
Yeah.
But then, interestingly enough, this, I feel, now I can say this looking back on it, this was the catalyst to me then having my very first massive expansive experience back in
Yes.
2019,
Hmm.
because I'd got to a point, I literally had, as you said again, right at the top of the conversation, I'd got to my own squeeze point where everything was pressing in on me. And the more the years went on like this, the more it was pressing in, the more that tension was building up, the more that pressure was building up. And it just exploded. It
Yeah.
literally exploded. And I had that experience and it just went whoosh and it broke me out of literally everything completely and utterly in
Right.
that one moment, in that one instant, into
Hmm.
something completely different to what I had been experiencing. That was my first introduction to myself as this wider space that we've been talking about.
Right.
So,
And we had to adapt to. We had to adapt
right,
to that. Otherwise, we got squished back down into this.
right.
And now, on top of everything else, we're crazy.
Yeah,
You're an addict. You're crazy. Gosh, you're such a loser.
yeah,
And so, from this perspective, we're losers.
yeah,
I can honestly say that from
yeah,
this
yeah.
perspective, I was a loser,
Yeah.
um, because I had my issues too with addiction. Mine was more along the lines of pills, but I had to tamp down. I had to stop feeling so much,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
this is really, in my view, my spiritual view, this is the root of the issues with addiction is that over time it's like, as a child you're like, whoa, what a cool place. Or if you had a blessed childhood and you could be exposed to that, and then tamp down, tamp down, tamp down. So we're here when we come in, and then we get squished down into this, right? And then we cope. We have the coping mechanisms. But I'll tell you what, when I worked as an intern in the field, the addiction recovery field, for the 9 months total that I did, I I could walk into a group and I could see them. I could feel who they were. But again, I don't have permission, because this space says you must have a degree, you must have a license, you must have, and this is the only curriculum that you get to teach from. Even though I can see them, I see their soul, I feel their soul. I want to be able to reach out and make an actual connection with them and remind them of who they are, just as the beings did for us.
Yeah,
See that they said that to me. They've probably said it to you in a myriad of ways. We
absolutely.
need you to do this. to those around you in a,
Yeah.
obviously a more benevolent and gentle way, hopefully, than the way it happened to us, just getting smashed into, ah! um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was really hard for me to be in that environment and feel
Yeah.
disempowered from
Yeah.
my actual gifts to be able to help,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But I think you're absolutely right. This is why we're having these discussions, and we record them and we put them on YouTube, because we want this to be literally, this is a normal way of being. This is
Yeah.
how it actually is.
Yeah.
Let's take everything out of that small box of you're crazy, or you can mention spiritual experiences, but you can't mention ETs.
Do you know that I
Let's
post stuff on Twitter now and I get nothing, absolutely nothing, no response at all. And it's like, huh, this is wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying, and you are too. It's like, no, let's just throw everything out. Let's throw all these boxes out. Let's throw all these labels out. Let's throw this separation of how we see the world, and
Yeah,
let's throw it all out. And let's go. Let's just lay it on the table for what it actually is.
right.
This
Yeah,
is what it is. This is
that's where
who
we
we
are now.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's where we are now. And it's not like we're saying, it never has been this. We're not saying, look at us, we're experiencers, and whoa, have we got some tales to tell you? It isn't. It isn't that at all. It's,
No.
whoa, here's what's happening as a result
Right.
of those
Right.
experiences.
Yeah.
That's where we are focused 99.9% of the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what have each of these experiences taught us about ourselves? That's what I find it is
Right.
now. When I look
100%.
back and remember and feel into those experiences, because as we've always said, we've always brought those experiences into our human beingness. That's how kind of we've expanded and embodied everything. But it's
Yeah.
like, when you go back and remember those experiences, is like, no, each one of those experiences was trying to tell me something about
Yes.
myself. And
Right.
what was it that it was trying to tell me?
Right.
That's what
Right.
we're more interested in, rather than kind of conveying the story of this happened, that happened, whatever, which naturally comes into the conversation sometimes. But
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not what we're focused on. We're focused
Right.
on the evolution of ourselves and our consciousness, and how that transforms over time.
Right. And just having and meeting each other and wanting to meet more like us
Mm.
because we know, we're told, we're shown that there are many of us here.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
from what I've been informed of, there's always a population that of experiencers or an oversoul's intent to do something specific like this, to be contacted from beyond, right, and to be shoved into a bigger space. Now we're here to talk about it. A lot of us don't make it because in earlier days, we've talked about this before, we're put in institutions, we're drugged heavily, um, or we end up killing ourselves.
Mm.
And so it's really something to celebrate now when we find each other like this, and we can have these conversations where we don't have to, like I was alluding to in the article, we don't have to apologize for who we are or pretend. We don't have to do this. We have permission to, oh, hi, Beth. Hi,
Mm.
Nick. Hi, Susan. Um, we're talking in this bigger space,
Mm.
and never do I feel like I have to argue with any of you or prove anything to you or anybody. It's
Mhm.
just an exploration of this cosmic Disneyland
Yeah.
again that we experienced as a child,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
In so many ways.
yeah. And I think when you're in this space as well, you begin to become really appreciative, actually, of the differences between each of us,
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
because you can learn to see someone and feel someone and know that they have differences to you, and
yeah.
that they sometimes feel different, they sometimes see differently to you, they sometimes
Mm-hmm.
interpret differently to you.
Mm-hmm.
However, whereas if you were in this more contracted, dense world, you'd then end up also arguing and fighting, and then, probably end up, if it went on long enough and big enough, you'd end up not speaking to each other anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, in this space now, we can now really, really appreciate, and I mean, genuinely appreciate each other's differences
Mm-hmm.
and respect that. And just to think, this is what it is about.
Right.
This
Right.
is, we are all from the same thing, but oh gosh, how amazing it is just how fine and detailed and nuanced each expression can come out as.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I find that amazing.
Yeah. That diversity, right?
This is also a couple of things here. So, picking up on what you were going to say earlier, it's like we're not sitting here going, we are special because we've had all these experiences and oh, look at us, aren't we great? This is just us sitting down, having these conversations on this level that you've been talking about. And what we have found over the years actually is the more that we have these conversations, the more that we unpack each other, the
Right.
more we find out about ourselves
Right.
and each other. So
Right.
that is another really joyful experience to be
Absolutely.
in.
One of the most joyful experiences. Yeah, just like whenever you're talking, I start getting, it's like I get more data and more
Yeah,
specialized data. And
yeah.
so that's when you say unpacking, absolutely, we've been unpacking each other. And that's why, I mean, it's why I'm so excited to just be totally out. I want to be
Mm.
out
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Me
And
too.
and I've tried in
Yeah.
this world or some
Mm.
maybe quasi bigger that I've been trying to do this, and we've all been trying in our own ways to
Yeah.
how does this work? How do we say it? But I don't know physics, so I can't communicate with you. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the communication inside this
Yeah. Yeah.
um, is so frustrating
Yeah.
because everybody thinks their language is the language, right?
Mm.
And we got blown into pieces and we're introduced to the cosmic language
Mm.
of what we call feeling, knowing, or um, and it's just an instantaneous understanding
Mm.
that you don't have to break down into compartments and physics and this, if we agree with this, the logic
Mm.
thing, if we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
agree with this, then this, oh
Mm.
yay, we've
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
an accomplishment. Well, that's like baby building blocks compared to being blown into this cosmic direct experience and then having to manage that. Like in
Yeah.
in in my day back in the 80s and the 90s, I'd have these cosmic visitations and then I'd have to get up and go to work the next day. I mean,
I don't know
I
how you
used
did
to,
that.
oh my God, I used to scream.
Yeah.
How do you even think this is possible?
Mm.
How
Mm.
do I walk into in fact, I went to like a 9 week or 10 week class on writing my own solo performance of of what this was like to be blown to bits and then you go to your cubicle the next day. Like, I mean, just look and feel it, that imagery, right? I mean, it's just, and you can
Yes.
just feel them all chuckling like, Look, she's now going to her cubicle.
I think my closest experience to that is being blown out and then having to go through with a meetup with one of my friends that I have, who is kind of just doing her small bursting out of this thing, so we can kind of connect in some kind of way. But I've, the previous night I've had this massive experience. Then the next day I'm honouring this arrangement that we have together, and so I turn up, but like trying to actually have a conversation is really, really difficult.
See, this is the comedy routine I want to do, but I would never have an audience. I mean, we laugh together, which is fantastic, but that's the kind of, I want to do the
Yeah,
cosmic
yeah,
comedy.
yeah. But coming
Laughing.
back, I was going to say that's where I lost my thread, right? So coming back to the whole thing of we're not special, it's like, no, we're not special. We've just had these experiences. We're now talking about it to open this up to other people who, I agree with you, Em. I think there's far more people having these kind of experiences that care to stand up and say, yes, I'm having this experience. And the more that we open this up and really just talk about this like we're having an everyday conversation, because that is what it is for us now, is an everyday
Yes, it is.
conversation.
Yes,
It's like,
it is.
let's encourage people to break out of that very conditioned layering of, okay, I've had this experience, but I can't talk about it because no one else around me has had this experience. And it's like we're all, and especially at the moment, we're all moving through so much, this planet and the energy that it has, and everybody and the collective energy, and oh my gosh, there's so much going on that there's so many of these instances now that I feel are breaking out. And it's like
Yeah,
the more that we talk about this stuff, the more that we talk about this stuff and get it out there, the more hopefully people will see it and go, okay, they're talking about it like as a normal everyday occurrence. Well, okay, let's listen
right,
in. Let's
right,
explore this a little bit more.
right.
And so I
That's
don't go.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it right there. We're now in a position to give other people permission to step into this,
yeah,
and the permission that we did not feel. But
right.
we had to be brave and, in a lot of cases, really kind of like stick my neck out there. And, it wasn't too long ago that I would have the thoughts of, if I post this on YouTube, what if I need a new job. And what if, like, again, we think we're sustained by this small system. But in reality, it is the larger system that sustains us. But that
Mm,
just sounds so airy fairy to people
mm,
that they go, well, that's ridiculous.
yeah,
Get grounded,
yeah,
because they think that this is grounded. This is not grounded. This
right.
is coping, and it's just making do. Or you go all in and you play the game
Mm,
of this reality. Obviously, this is a soul contract for people like us. It's like, yeah, can you guys, just come in and just totally wipe out my whole reality? Um, to where I have no worldview, and I just start coming back and putting pieces together again, and then you wipe it out again.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, agreed? You guys going to do that? Okay, cool.
yeah.
It's an accelerated experience,
It
especially for
is.
you in the shorter time that you've been. I've talked about this all the time, I know, but
Yeah.
I am always very amazed at how you chose to do this in an extremely accelerated way. We kind of, in turn, help people to gently embrace the anomalies and the weirdness and let's really go in. It's like those are little diving in points. Those are little
Mm, mm,
entry points, like
yeah.
in healing, like in hands-on healing or massage or whatever. It's like you
Mm,
find the openings,
mm,
right? And so we go in and we just say, ooh, let's talk about this, or let's explore this a little bit and widen that a bit more.
mm, mm,
um, to where there's more, the widening happens in all these different, as you were saying, dots before. It's kind of like, to me, I've seen it as the inversion of that, where it's like these spaces start to open, like you're here, but these windows start, it's more like a window. And if you can open more and more and more windows, then there's nothing to hold that smaller context together
Love that
anymore.
analogy. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't take credit for it. It was the beings that showed that to me at one
Mm,
point.
right.
I came across it in a journal where they showed me that it works more like this. Like, okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Also, I wanted to go back to what it's like being in this space. So, the other thing this space does for you, which is another thing that you really have to get used to and become accustomed to and learn to be okay with, which is the complete sense of the unknown.
Oh yeah,
So when you're in this space,
yeah,
like we are at the moment, I literally have no idea what's going to happen from day to day.
that's right.
I don't know, in a sense, I don't know where I'm heading. In a sense, I don't know what I'm doing. In a
Yeah.
sense, I have no orientation to speak of. However, flip that all on the one side, I absolutely do know where I am, what I'm doing, and where I'm heading. Because now I'm being guided, although that doesn't feel the right kind of word, but I'm in this space and I'm in the flow of this space. Now, I remember us talking about this in our last conversation. It's like you become the field.
Yeah.
So actually what ends up happening is it's the field that moves you around and moves you through things and moves you onto things. But
Mm-hmm.
there is no separation between you and the field. You are the field.
Yeah.
So this is the other thing. You learn to let go of the cognitive and the ego side of this that,
Mm-hmm.
that you get in this more dense world that says to you the ego has to take over and direct, and the cognitive space, also the logic side of everything, has to take space over
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
Um, and what we have to do is we have to learn to let go of that, completely let go of that.
Yeah.
So, from that smaller world perspective, it looks like you have no plan. It looks like you have no goals in life. It looks like you're not doing anything. It looks like you're not organized and sorted and know exactly where you're going. But that's because people tend to observe it and perceive it from that smaller place perspective. However, we know when we're in our bigger space, it's just a completely different way of moving, of being, and of who we are. It's a different expression of who we are. So we learn to express ourselves through this flow because we are the flow. And so you learn to trust this flow. You learn to be
Yes.
in the moment of this flow and
Mm-hmm.
always know that this flow is going to take you to wherever you need to be in that moment, in that
Mm-hmm.
time, in
Mm-hmm.
that place, and in that space with that person, with that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Which brings me to, I've had a few clients on and off over the years, one more recent, where it's like, I just said something gently like, well, what if you just let that expand right now? Just like, instead of resisting it or being afraid, just let's just go inch by inch here. And it's like, no, I'll lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew exactly, I mean, we know that space. We know that
Mm-hmm.
space very well. And I said, ooh, cool. Lose your mind. Because that's really, I know that sounds irresponsible according to the system. 100%, I had to lose my mind to find, rediscover the truth of who we are. And so that is a big fear. That's, I just wanted to introduce that
Mm.
topic because that's a massive fear for people, that if I just go with this craziness you're talking about, I'll go crazy. I'll lose my mind. I will lose, they'll have to put me away, or, all the fears, that go with, I have to maintain this control in this life. And we've worked so hard, right?
Yeah.
All these years, or, I want to talk to young people now. I want to talk,
Mm.
because they're just out and out rejecting these systems. And it's like, yes, yay, reject away. Um, I don't think they're as afraid of losing
Mm.
their mind. They do need more reflection
Mm. Yeah.
in their world. They're here too, right? And
Mm.
they're going, oh my God, what's wrong with these people and this place, right? So
Mm.
that's when they go into addiction. And I worked with a youth group. I saw it firsthand, that they just, whoa, it's too much of a contrast
Mm.
with what they come in with.
Mm.
They're extremely aware, way more aware than we were when we came in the times that we came in.
Mm.
They come in a much more, the potentiality is just, it's dripping with
Mm.
potential. But in a message from years ago, they pointed out that unless these young people have the mirrors, like I volunteer to be a mirror, if they don't just out and out reject me because I have silver hair, which is another thing that I noted about the young people, there's an automatic judgment and dismissal of people who are older, because those are the ones that have really messed this world up. And this world could be such a wonderful, beautiful place. But these people, whew, stay away, wide berth, right?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point to make, because I do feel like you and I are having this conversation because we've been in the generations where talking about ETs was totally and utterly taboo, and totally and utterly you're
It
in the
still
crazy shit
is.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think there's a distinction though, because it is definitely in our generation, we're still having to move through all of that stickiness going through. But I think with the younger generation, I feel like they are more open, just naturally more
Yeah,
open to this
yes,
kind of thing.
absolutely. Right.
However, you are absolutely right in is if they don't get any reflection from this dense
Hmm.
world, that this actually is a thing and it is true and it's real and it's not crazy, then
Right.
yeah, they probably will end up going down the route of addiction or mental health difficulties or
Suicide.
psychosis,
Yeah.
whatever, suicide.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that generational thing is really interesting as well, because, like you said, they come in way differently to what we did.
Yeah.
Way differently.
Yeah.
And
And
go on. No, go on.
I just wanted to say, and I remember them showing me that all it takes for them is just a, a glimpse of this.
Mm,
Oh, that exists. Boom, I'm
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I'm being me and I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
It's like a switch goes off inside of them.
Yeah.
The younger generations is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Um,
difference.
and I mean, I could then open up this whole massive topic of the education system as well, which,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
This is the trouble we have when we start talking, Beth, is like,
I know.
wait, what?
Have you got to
I
go?
got a hair appointment. And, it's like, but I am going to walk into that salon with this bigger picture and sit
Yeah,
down and have my hairs trimmed.
exactly.
Yeah,
Oh,
we could definitely explore and unpack more and more and more.
mm,
And that's why I want to continue to have these conversations,
mm,
because not only does it enhance my life and world, and the switches go off in me and
mm,
give me that, there's that thing again. Yeah, that supports this and this that I've had visions of, and I'm going to start moving in that direction, or
mm.
whatever the case may be. It's inspiration. Period.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah, yeah,
it's the in breath of spirit.
yeah,
It's the lifting, the buoyancy, um, the permission to be even more of who I am, and I
yeah,
feel that's what we mean when we say we unpack each other,
absolutely.
and that's the beauty of that. But it's also that I truly want to come out with this and be more um, accessible to people
Mm, mm-hmm,
who really want to be present with
mm,
these ongoing conversations, and perhaps even interact with us, whatever configuration we're coming together with,
mm,
as experiencers. I don't know what other word to use. I get so tired of that word
yeah.
sometimes, so
That's, yeah.
tired of agreeing with this small world. And
Yeah.
have you noticed it's getting smaller?
It is getting smaller, and that's why. But I feel like we're both just kind of going whoosh. That means we're just going to go even bigger then.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Let's just
Yeah.
go for it. Let's just be. Let's really stop apologizing for ourselves and for what
Oh
we've
my God.
experienced.
Yes. It's,
Just
and
drop it.
there's no more doubt. There's
No.
no more doubt. I don't have any doubt at all
Yeah.
anymore. This is more true than anything that I
Mm,
experienced here.
mm. Yeah. Me too.
This
Me
is
too.
this is true,
Yeah.
because it's connected. It's connected. It's life enhancing. It's love. I mean, we could go on and on about what actual love feels like,
Mm, mm,
when it touches you and it's in your
mm,
form, and it's, you know um, it's a whole other dynamic, that once you feel that,
mm.
once you're touched by that directly, that's pretty hard to deny. That's
Yeah.
hard to keep saying, no, that's not real. That full ecstatic experience wasn't
Mm,
real. It's important to be here. This is what's real. It's just,
mm.
it gets ridiculous
Yeah. Yeah.
after, at a certain point.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, while I've been in trance or connected to them, they have shown. Oh God, I just got a shit ton of energy come in. This is their sense of humor.
Yep. So go with it. Go with it.
Yeah, it's it's pure joy, is what it
Mm,
is. It's like,
mhm,
it's laughter, and it's just love. It's just
mhm,
like, this is the humor. I love this humor
mhm, mhm,
that they have, because
mhm,
I mean, just this smile. It
mhm.
isn't just my smile. They're smiling through me.
Yeah,
Like, yes, it's, we
yeah.
understand, but it's time. It's time.
Right.
We understand the feelings. We understand that you're in a, you came in the part of the team that came in as human. We get it. You have the rougher position here. This is way more challenging, right? So they want to acknowledge that, right, for all of
Mm,
us, that
mhm,
they're just in awe of our ability to be born into this space, and then start to remember these connections and to be of service, right? So
mhm.
that's
Yeah.
I keep getting pulled under and into it, and I'm trying. I'm saying thank you very much for
Yeah.
coming in and reminding me of this, but I'm going to come back to this space now because I have to go get my hair cut.
Yes, unfortunately, because I feel like this could open up into something quite beautiful. But I
You know what?
understand you have places to be. However, this is not going anywhere. And I think that has just answered your fear
I
of
know.
whether it's going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you, Beth. Okay, so we were just going to come and chit chat today, and look what happened. Can we even do chit chat? I mean,
No.
but I probably will go chit chat with the hairstylist. I mean,
Yeah.
so that there's that. So there's going to be like, I'm going to hold the space, but I'm going to chit chat here.
Yeah. So
Oh,
let's
God.
leave that space, that pregnant space that I can now feel. We're going to leave that there, and we shall return to that space at another moment in time.
We shall. We shall. Thank you for connecting with me today. This has been
You are,
really,
you are very
really,
welcome.
whew,
Yeah.
really expansive.
Yes.
And so we'll put this up and we'll share it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And then we're just going to let it evolve.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's the difference in this new space is
Right.
we're demonstrating it at the same time that we're stepping into it. You know, it's like,
Right.
we don't know for sure, but this seems to be happening now, right?
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, and this is the going with the flow. This is us neither of us have any, right, this is what we're going to do. We just have feelings.
I need a new business card.
Yeah, exactly.